So let's talk about the chords for this tune. We're going to build on our knowledge that we've been using in the past lessons. We're in the key of A still, and so the one chord is still going to be the same. It will be A, and just as a review, in a way to play the A chord, we're going to play our first finger on the G string and our first finger on the D string as well. So those two notes are A and E. Okay, and let's go to the 5 chord. The 5 chord in the key of A would be an E chord, and we're going to play the E chord with our first finger on the D string, which is an E, and our second finger on the G string, which is a B. So that's our 5 chord. We're actually not going to use the 4 chord in this particular tune. Instead, we're going to learn a new chord today, which is going to be the 7 chord. Okay, so to refer back to the scale that we used, we're just going to count up that scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is a G. So our 7 chord is going to be based on G. And so what we need to do in order to figure out what notes are in a G chord is spell 1, 3, and 5 based on G. Okay, so G would be the first note. We're going to skip over A because that would have been 2. B would be 3, skip over C, and D would be 5. So the notes in a G chord are G, B, and D. And the easiest way to play them on a fiddle, this is every fiddler's favorite chord, is play open G and open D. That's why everybody loves that one. So that's going to be our 7 chord, our G chord. Okay, so we're only going to use 1, 5, and 7 in this key, in this tune. So this is a great tune because it reminds us of chordal form, which is really important. There's a lot of times people feel like there are so many tunes to remember and memorize the chords to, and the ideal thing is instead of memorizing the chords is that you learn how to hear the chords. So you might remember the melody and it's like, oh shoot, I really don't know what that chord progression is, but what we want to do is start to teach you how to hear that in a jam session. So here are some stereotypical things that start happening. Once you know a bunch of tunes, you start realizing these patterns not only happen in the melodies with the first and the third phrases or using the fourth phrase again, but they happen chordally as well. And this is a perfect tune to give an example of that. So if we're thinking, I'm going to do a little Vanna White here, but if we're thinking about the tune in 4 measure or 4 phrase structures, we're almost always going to start the tune on the 1 chord because that lets us know what key we're in. So we're going to have the 1 chord, then some stuff is going to happen in the middle, and then at the end of halfway through, we're probably going to have a 5 chord because that makes it sound like a question. And then we'll go back to the 1 chord, some things will happen, and the end we'll hit 5, 1 to make it sound like we're finally home. Okay? Now, whatever happens in the middle, between those cornerstones, those chordal cornerstones, is what makes each tune special and unique to itself. But almost all tunes follow this kind of structural pattern. And Old Joe Clark does that really perfectly. So the chords for Old Joe Clark, we're going to start at 1. So 1, stuff happens, here's the 5 chord. Okay, then we go back to 1, stuff happens, and then at the end we're going to hit da da 5, 1 at the end. So we hear that happen. Now it just so happens that the stuff in the middle is all 1 chord, so it's super easy in the middle. In the meantime, so the chord progression is going to be 1, 1, 1, 5 for halfway through. 1, 5, 1 to make it sound like we're coming home. Okay, so let's give that a shot. Ready, and... Now with the B part, we're going to have something a little fun and festive. Instead of having that corner 5 chord at the top at the end of the second half, we're going to plug 7 into that spot. Okay? but at the end we're still going to have 5, 1. Okay, so that will be 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1, 5, 1. So we still sound like we're ending. Okay, and it's just a reminder, the 7 chord is our G chord. G, B, D is how we spell a G chord. And we're going to play it with open G and open D on our fiddles. Okay, so let's try playing 1s to 7 and then 1s back to 5, 1. Okay, ready, and 7. Back to 1. Excellent. Okay, so let's put the whole tune together, 2 A's and 2 B's. Okay, and let's try going back and forth. So you start playing the chords, and at the end of it you can go right into playing the tune, which starts on an open E, goes up the scale and back down. Okay. 1, 2, just 1s and 5s. To do some extra fun things while we're playing the melody. Good time for that, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. First thing to talk about is doing adding the techniques that we've already learned from the previous tunes to this. And that first thing would be to have open string droning, which I was doing a lot of while we were playing together. So since we're in the key of A, we have a lot of open A access to us, okay? So the whole first phrase, we can play open A along that whole time, and then for the last part of the phrase, when we're playing a D C sharp, I would just start droning the open E above it. So my bow actually stays on the A and the E string the whole time. That's what my bow is doing, and my left hand just make sure that I make sure that when I'm playing the D and the C sharp, I'm really on my fingertips so that open E can happen. So let's try that with the first phrase. Ready, and nice. So you have that whole droning thing, and then same thing for the second phrase, but we're going to an E chord or 5 chord in this spot, right? So what we would want to do, if we can't just drone open A there, because that makes it sound like a 1 chord. And so we need to change the note on the A string to make sure that it sounds like a 5 chord. So the closest thing that we could do is just put our first finger down on a B, because the 5 chord is E, G sharp, B. So that second phrase would sound like this. Open A drone. And then on those open E's, you're going to put your first finger down on the B. So it sounds like a 5. Let's try that. Ready, and third phrase, you can do the same thing, open drones, and good. Okay, now the fourth phrase, you can start, open E drone, and then I would keep my first finger down on that B while I hit the G, and then we already talked about having that fourth finger on the D string with the open A. So that drone is happening. We have 2 strings going for every single note, basically. Okay, so let's try that phrase. And open E and A. Go to the G. Good. Great. Let's do that again. Ready? And great. Now, you may keep that B down, or you can pick it up. It's kind of a fun clash to have all the G's and the A's ringing together too. So it's fun to do it both ways. There's not a right or wrong way, but keeping the B down is going to sound like what we did. Or not keeping the B down and picking it up. So you have the G and the A. So it's really subtle. It's not, I mean, if you don't want to keep the B down, it's totally fine. But it's good to have 2 ways. Okay, so let's try to do the whole A part with open droning. Okay, ready? And down. That was nice. And it doesn't matter if you keep the B down and I don't. It's totally cool both ways. Okay. The next thing, this is an American tune. It's kind of based in the old time tradition, and it got picked up by bluegrass players. So it's played by both styles of musicians, but I'm definitely playing it with more of an old time feel than a bluegrass feel. And something that is really exciting about old time music is that it's always being propelled forward. That actually starts before the bar line. It actually starts before the tune would even start. So that's kind of starting the tune on beat 4 instead of beat 1. Previously we've been starting it always on beat 1. 1, 1. All the phrases start on beat 1. So something that we could do is start before beat 1, before the bar line, which not that we want to do it every single time, but I'm going to give an example of starting on every time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's just try first time single lines, so don't worry about any droning, but always starting on the end of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I kind of need to stop. Yeah, okay. So we'll do B part ornaments.
Yeah, cool.
Next time when we leave off. Okay. Nice! That's going pretty well. I think it's better this time. This lesson is going to be better.